day is celebrated as International Human Rights Day. It commemorates Universal Pledge, that is a global document, Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which was adopted by United Nations General Assembly in Paris on 10th December 1948. This document states about inalienable rights of individuals. Human rights are nothing but whatever the rights we have being an individual from womb to tomb. It is not rights guaranteed by anyone. These are all global rights. Wherever we go, these are the rights we have undoubtedly. Either we are Indian or we go abroad, these are all the rights we have, and it is the duty of the states to ensure these rights. We know, I hope most of you all heard today's Vice-Chancellor's speech, Vice-Chancellor's speech. Sir in that speech spoke about the historical development and human rights as well. Actually, in India, we ever speak about, earlier also we followed that principles, but in the name of dharma. Generally we speak about rights. But when we speak about rights, we have utmost duty, that is our duty. First we fulfill our duty, then only we can claim our rights. Then in that case, undoubtedly we can question our rights. This is my feeling about human rights, and moreover we know the human rights are at stake. Today these are on hazard throughout the world, everywhere. Whether you see Bangladesh or there in Israel or in Ukraine, Russia, Ukraine, these are all with the continuous wars, human rights are being violated and it has been violating. In India also, not only there, even in corner places also we can say there is a violation of human rights. But at the same time, when we are talking about the violation of rights, but at the same time we have to stand up for that also.
Human rights violation. This is because of, I was reading on something telling that, what is social media going to impact? I'll mix up a little of Telugu also, because some of them may have difficulty in understanding. మనం సోషల్ మీడియా చూస్తూ ఉంటాం నాన్ స్టాప్గా. వీఆర్ ఆల్ గాట్ యూస్ టు ఇట్ నౌ. ఐ థింక్ మోర్ దెన్ వాట్ వీ డూ నవ్ డేస్. మినిమం 1 hourతో ఐ myself I can understand minimum 1 hour we spend on social media. So we know that there are certain things, ఒక్క విషయం గురించి కానీ, it may be about the political view of an individual, it can be a social view of an individual, but we can't tell that it is always a correct information. The information which is going to impact us, అంటే మనం అది సోషల్ మీడియా చూస్తూ ఉన్నప్పుడు కొంచెం మంచి వస్తాయి, కొంచెం చెడ్డది వస్తాయి. కానీ మీ చెడ్డది మంచిది అన్నది ఇట్ ఇస్ అవర్ పర్సెప్షన్, వాట్ వీ వాంట్ టు సీ అన్నది మనం డిసైడ్ చేసుకోగలము. కానీ కొంతమందికి ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ కూడా, మీడియా రెగ్యులేషన్ ఈజ్ ఇట్ సెల్ఫ్ ఎ ఛాలెంజింగ్ టాస్క్, అండ్ నౌ వీఆర్ గోయింగ్ టు హ్యావ్ ఎ రీడింగ్ అండ్ ఎ సర్వే ఆన్ అండర్స్టాండింగ్ దట్ త్రూ సోషల్ మీడియా ఆర్ నెట్వర్కింగ్ there are social media influencers. ఇప్పుడు మనమేమనుకుంటామంటే మంచిది చెప్పేవాళ్ళని మనకు మంచిగా చెప్తున్నాం అనుకుంటారు, కానీ కొన్ని విషయాలు మన మంచిదికి ఉంటుంది, కొన్ని విషయాలు ఇట్ కెన్ బి అగెన్స్ట్ ద స్టేట్ ఆర్ అగెన్స్ట్ ది ఇంట్రెస్ట్ ఆఫ్ ది పబ్లిక్ ఎట్ లార్జ్. వీ డోంట్ అండర్స్టాండ్ దట్ ఇట్ ఈస్ అన్ ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ విచ్ ఇస్ రిక్వైర్డ్ ఫర్ మీ ఆర్ నాట్. అప్పుడు మనం ఏం చేయాలి? హూ ఈజ్ రెగ్యులేటెడ్? ఇది హౌ విల్ ఇట్ ఇంపాక్ట్ ఎ హ్యూమన్ రైట్ అన్నది మనం అర్థం అవ్వట్లేదు. So this is one point I would like to address. Whenever we are in our social networking or in a capacity, we have to be very cautious that when we are spreading something or when we are actually posting something, are we as a responsible citizen? Because I think sir was talking about, he used a very beautiful sentence. I missed out when I was hearing what he was telling in the All India radio. I leave it to sir to give that information. That was a beautiful sentence which he usually used in the All India radio. He says that the human rights are what It is not about the humanity of the other side, but what you perceive it from that also. That's what he was trying to tell. That's what I feel. Social media ki manam andar addict అయిపోయాము, కానీ that also has been somewhere directly or indirectly affecting the human rights as such, especially when we spread fake news or misinformation or disinformation. I feel as a responsible citizen, we need to have a control and a curb when we are posting something. That's one message which I would like to talk. And I wish all of you human rights. That means when I have a right, I should respect others. When I also have a duty to respect the duty of others. Thank you so much for me giving this opportunity. Thank you.
At the same time, it also poses several serious challenges against the existence of mankind. So we all know the history and how these things are there. When we understand our history, Amartya Sen got his PhD as an economic scholar. So his hypothesis was, in Bengal famine, his topic is Bengal famine, not because of the shortage of food grains, because of overzealous people who purchased and stored more and more human food grains so that they can face in the future. So that creates the artificial shortage of the food grains. And there one comparison he made. In Pune, excessive potatoes were produced. So because there was no market for potatoes were glutted by the farmers and others, like our tomatoes are being thrown on the public streets because of non having proper plan. Now at one time 64 rupees, now it comes to 34 rupees. There is no uniformity. So here, when potatoes were glutted in Pune market, in the same period, extra scavengers were recruited to lift the dead bodies by Calcutta Corporation. So that was the paradox of Indian economy in those days. From that stage, we reached this stage. So here, that's why when we just to gather here to understand the value of human rights, at the same time human duties, overzealous human rights activists may be there. For them, all the human rights should be enjoyed by them, and even at the cost of the fellow being. So all the human rights to few people are at least some core human rights, like food security, right to primary health, and right to primary education, which are to be provided to all. That's why Martha developed this human capability theory. Before human right, you should think about human capability. Unless a human being has capability to enjoy the human rights, there is no meaning of conferring human rights to the human being. So human capability. So before human rights. That is very, very important. That's why when we talk of now, today in 24, even that's why Lebanon issue, particularly Syria, already all these West Asian issues, we are so fortunate. Even in Bangladesh, today news item came, even first time Mamata Banerjee gave a better comment against the Bangladesh political leader. So one of the Bangladesh political leader yesterday commented, some part of Bihar, some part of Orissa, some part of Bengal belong to Bangladesh. Tomorrow, the reason was because of the uncontrolled, unmanageable inflow and refugees, particularly in Peravali, in West Godavari, one Bangladeshi came, settled, married native girl, and had 2 children. So after 10 years, it was found that he is a refugee. So what shall be the fate of the wife who is a native and 2 children out of that wedlock? So these are all the human rights issues, and now even before UNO, there are the greatest challenges. Israel issue. Israel is an uncontrollable, what's unruly horse. In international affairs, Israel is compared as unruly horse. So that's why it has its own way of tackling the issues. So of course, all these aspects are there. Now I request Dayananda Murthy to speak some few words about human rights.
Led to not only pollution of a particular state, but also human killings. We call it as corporate killings in corporate law, and it happened because of the negligent act of the companies concerned here. This is the starting point. When I say Bhopal gas tragedy, it's a starting point. There are many other human rights violations which these companies do, the transnational corporations do, starting from, I'll take 2-3 examples in this case. We all have heard of Walmart, right? Walmart hires employees. We have heard of human rights violation in such a way that they don't allow the employees to go out of that particular shop, the warehouse. They will put them into the toilets, see that they are working throughout the day, maybe around 3 to 4 hours of rest of the days they will be working. We are thinking of a multinational company doing it, right? That's one example. Second example, we all have heard of the Coca-Cola or Pepsi supplying you with some pesticide, right? I think you had an issue relating to that. Is it not my right of human rights being violated in that case? Similarly, your chocolates are being served by companies having sugar content, huge way of sugar content than the chocolate itself, right? I don't know, many of you will be understanding when we take a Cadbury chocolate, it has 28% of sugar in that actually. Though we claim that it is 1% or 2% of sugar there, it leads to other health issues. I think we all know that whenever we take such kind of products, we are leading to specific diseases in the later circumstances. That is what they say. I don't know how many of you remember your parents used to tell you to take milk with ghee, right, in the evenings. And these multinational corporations have forced you not to take it in different ways by supplying different products. And because of that, we started getting diabetic, right? That's the way in which the multinational companies have interfered with your life specifically. So very specific traditional products which we had has been evaporated now. I don't know, many of you probably don't drink milk today in the evenings, right? Maybe you may drink a Sprite or a Coca-Cola with your dinner, right? So these are some of the things which they have successfully imbibed on us, basically on that, right? And starting from there, our human rights have been violated. How many of you have heard of lead being found in Maggie? Remember that the company had to close for one year, almost 1 year, to prove that there was no lead. But remember, every product has something within it, and that all products will lead us to our own human rights in this particular case, right? So every circumstance we are facing today has an issue with reference to human rights, right? With reference to corporate law is concerned, we have an international convention kind of thing coming in and telling what you have to do, what you should not do, but how many of us follow it is a different issue altogether. For example, the Supreme Court adopted a principle, I don't know, my opinion is that principle adopted that polluter pay principle. When I say polluter pay means, so you can pollute, but you have to pay. I am ready to do that as a corporation. So if that is the thing which we are referring to, I think human rights never stays at a particular point of time, right? In the sense, every minute a corporation is entitled to violate your human rights at any particular point of time. So these are some of the things which we have to look into when it comes to corporate kind of thing. But as a human being, what's my human rights is once again to be a very small thing I have to tell you. But others is a human right of other, right? That's the best thing I can tell you always. Don't hurt others. That itself is a human right violation of the others as a whole. And similarly, as I think ma'am started with a wonderful statement, do your duties, I think rights automatically gets protected. That's the way in which you have to lead. Once I do my duty, every duty which has been assigned to me, I think I need not worry about my rights are protected or not, because it gets protected automatically. That is what we have to feel. I always tell constitutional teacher that you teach too many of rights rather than duties. So probably we have to inculcate more on duties, then rights automatically get protected at any particular point of time. You need not worry about rights. Once you do your duty, rest is their duty to do whatever things they have to do to us. I think that's the way which human beings have to exist. That is the way we have to live specifically, not only within human beings. Let me take one small example of a Delhi High Court telling whether birds have a right to fly. Correct? Birds have right to fly. So you have a fundamental right to fly. Leave the birds to fly. And that's the way in which human rights are also to exist within a particular human being. Leave the other person to live happily. Don't hurt, don't create problems for the other human beings. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
So actually she mentioned about political principle, but several international and national principles were developed, particularly public trust doctrine, and the present generation has a duty to protect the environment, aged people rights.
They are vested with human beings. Simple. Human rights are vested with human beings. So everybody, every individual is having his own rights. So here, human rights in the sense, what are human rights? They are nothing but natural rights. They are inalienable rights. They are inseparable rights. They are with you forever. When you are coming immediately from your mother's womb, you are entitled for certain rights. So even one important judgment of a larger bench of the Supreme Court in 9-judge bench in K.S. Puttaswamy versus Union of India, otherwise known as Aadhaar card case, the Supreme Court, Chief Justice of India by then, D.Y. Chandrachud, said that they are inalienable rights. The Constitution just recognized it, they say, the human rights. They are natural rights. It is not from the Constitution, it is from the nature. When you are born as a human being, automatically they are with you. So you can claim the same. So on whom you can claim, that is another question. So normally, so we are claiming it against the state. Not only against the state, you can claim the same against other human beings or opponents or other people. How? Because to respect the others, it is a duty of yours. Because you are claiming your right, at the same time, the other individual also is having his own right. So you have to maintain that sort of discipline in this context. For example, so we can claim so many rights that as human rights, just what the Constitution of India recognizes the same under Article 21 of the Constitution. It interpreted, even though it is only one sentence in the Constitution, just like, no person shall be deprived of his life and liberty except according to the procedure established by law. Only one sentence. So how much law it was developed so far the human life, so far the human liberty is concerned. Life includes to live with human dignity. Life includes to earn livelihood. I mean, livelihood is also included in it. Free polluted water and air is a fundamental right that is under 21, that is human right. Like this, so many rights, even to right to sleep is a fundamental right, nothing but a human right. So, in all respects, so we can claim the same against the state, but at the same time, so when you recognize your rights, so the other should also have to recognize the same. When you extend such sort of attitude as a human being, you can claim human rights. Or otherwise, you are not entitled for the same. When I have no right so to claim anything, so against the others, you have such right to claim against you also. A mutual understanding. Here one more thing, rights and duties are correlative. I am claiming my rights only, but at the same time, what about my duties? So that is also another important aspect here, my dears. So here, human rights are nothing but the natural rights, what I mean to say. Because we are human beings, we are claiming the same. And in addition to this, so this particular what you call human rights are recognized by the courts in number of instances. Simply ignoring the concept of sovereignty, even though the state can claim the sovereignty, but the courts disowned it, the courts discarded it, you have to respect the human beings. You must protect the human lives. You must protect the liberties of the individuals. So after 1980s, the Supreme Court of India has taken to cognizance all these important aspects. By extending, not it is just lip service. It is the service, so what is required practically, feasible, necessary to compensate the individuals what you call their life and liberties are concerned. So even in Bihar blinding case or in Rudra Shah's case, number of cases are there in which, where the court have given their what you call verdict in favor of the individuals against the state. So that is why here human rights are nothing but so where you can claim against the state at the same time against the individuals. But at the same time, you must respect the rights of the human beings also. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much.
I was so told, life is not mere animal existence. From that stage, life with human dignity, decent life, and in some aspects, decent death was also interpreted as part of life under Article 21 in a limited way. No human dignity. So that's why reflexive equilibrium. John Ross says about reflexive equilibrium. What you don't expect from others to be done to you, you should also not to do. That is what is known as reflexive equilibrium. As John Ross, who studied the justice in the light of equality as one of the means and liberty as another means. Now I request younger teachers who recently joined, anybody can come.
So, Human Rights Day. The human rights are coming by birth. That's what Nageswara Sir put very clearly. It is a natural right which is coming by birth. But how many people enjoy this right by birth? There are some people, they are dying lack of food. There are some people, those are dying by committing self-deaths. There are some people, those are killing by some other people where there was no proof, no action. And there are some people, those have been killed by on the name of encounter deaths. Where is the human right? How these human rights are applicable to each and every person of the society? So, among these, for example, there are three genders in this society. Out of three genders, one gender is not considered as human beings at all. They are not allowed to enter into any of the transactions. The other two genders are concerned compared with men and women. How many women are enjoying the human rights on par with the men in this society? Right from the beginning, the life of women in this society is being merciless. So, since the beginning, when when they came to know the child in the womb of the mother is a female child, mercilessly they are killing. Why? Even the child in the womb of mother is crying, "Oh my mother, why you are killing? What sin I committed? Am I not entitled to enjoy the fruits of the society? Am I not entitled to enjoy and entitled to see my brothers and sisters? Am I not entitled to enjoy or entitled to see my parents and grandparents? Am I not entitled to enjoy this, seeing the beautiful world? Why you are killing? Even though the child is crying in the womb of the mother without minding, the so-called intellectual and educated society mercilessly they are killing. Where is the human right? Even the women, suppose the woman was given divorce. The divorce, see, that is the woman is not entitled to enjoy in so many transactions. The divorce is not, the woman in the divorce is not qualified for the second marriage also. Some of the communities, they are not coming forward to marry. The divorced women, that is the fate of the woman in the society. Widow is concerned. Once she becomes widow, the widow is not entitled to participate in so many transactions. She is not entitled to even bless of the end of the transactions. She is not entitled to perform so many festivals of the society. Where is the equality? So this inequality, why? How we are getting these rights equally? Why there is a difference in between the men and the women? So for this purpose, why we are celebrating this day? Where there is a failure, being an educated intellectual society, we have to find out some solutions and to protect these rights and to serve these rights equally to each and every human being on there. With these 2 words, I am taking leave by thanking the organizers for giving this opportunity to thank you once again to Hon'ble.
All issues, suffering humanity should think and thinking humanity should suffer. So all these issues are there. Now what is going on in Bangladesh, Lebanon, particularly of East Asia. So gross violation of human rights and state-sponsored terrorism, all these are there. So how can we balance among these conflicting human rights and issues? So when two human rights are conflicting each other, which right is to be promoted depends upon the capacity of the society. Say for example, right to environment, right to development. Both are important fundamental rights and human rights. And actually the distinction between natural rights and human rights. That's why there is a famous quotation. Whether the history of natural rights is the history of human rights or not. Initially it was. So human rights first time were positivized through the American Constitution by making them enforceable. So now under Indian constitutional context, the Human Rights Act is there. We have National Human Rights Act. The human right defined in that particular act is all the fundamental rights guaranteed in the Constitution of India are human rights. Judiciary also several times interpreted when a human issue coming to the court can be solved in the light of considering whether it is violating fundamental right or not. Justice Krishna has started. If there is no solution providing solving the issue through the fundamental rights spectrum, so the judge can go to the beyond fundamental rights. So human rights. First time he used that particular concept in Jolly George versus Cochin Bank, when all the resources of a person were attached. So even there is a provision allowed to send that particular judgment debtor to the prison. So there he opposed. When all his revenues were stopped, how could he pay? All his properties were attached under the attachment. So first time he took the particular concept of promoting human rights. Of course, that's why the problem of human rights presence and enforcement itself is imposing sanctions on the countries which violated the human rights. Itself is the biggest problem. So within the society also, that's why we are now witnessing in Bangladesh, Hindu minorities were being exploited. Atrocities are being committed there. So that's why all these national issues, after some stage reached, they become international issues. So the as long as you know, insurgency, belligerency, some of the movements in a particular country may be started as a belligerent stage. There, the stage will be developed into the stage of insurgents, where the militant group which developed is able to have weapons and everything. So, international community will enter into the national issues. So, if the situation continues in Bangladesh, there is no wonder. So, international community, including India, can interfere in the situation, as in the case of LTTE protection, where in Jaffna area. So, during Rajiv Gandhi government, the food and medicines were airlifted. So, India, even a foreign country, entered into the arena of Sri Lanka and sent the medicines and food grains. When Sri Lanka military put some sanctions on the Jaffna area, when the mankind was suffering, and there is no other alternative, definitely international community will respond. That is what is the purpose of remembering and recollecting these type of programs on the important dates like this. So that's why I am very happy that all the teaching community participated in an effective manner. So any teacher wants to, yes, please come, madam.
Sir said, natural rights. When the constitution is not recognizing your rights, you don't have any human rights. We don't have any duty. When no constitution is there, we used to have these human rights. This Universal Declaration of Human Rights, recognizing these individual rights as human rights, where the state is not rescuing these rights by sovereign authority. Let me say that every aspect in the society, if it is not covered by the constitution or protected by a particular institution or organization, then the human rights will come to rescue each and every individual. So environment is a human right, prisoners are human rights, war victims are human rights, HIV patients, their rights are being rescued by human rights. So what not? Pollution-free environment, free drinking, sleeping, right to born, right to marriage, every right of expression, everything is connected with human dignity, human respect. So when in this regard, I would like to emphasize each and every one, these rights, human rights, what we call, if they are not being approved, acknowledged by the state or institution or an authority, we don't have that right. Because the ADM Jabalpur versus Shivkar Shukla case, the dissenting judgment given by Chandrachud said, when in Nazism several soldiers were killed, no voice for them, because they were against the sovereign authority, against the state. When you go against the state, you don't have even human rights. Or we can say that Article 21 says that we have right to life and liberty. What this liberty allows you? If you will be allowed your liberty or a duty or exercising that inbuilt right which is sanctioned or approved or acknowledged by the other end, you will have. Otherwise you don't have. You don't have your human right, you don't have your legal right, you don't have your fundamental right or natural right. So all the cases, because Ukraine and Russia, they are fighting for a long time. So many people are dying there. They were crying literally. They want to say that we want to have our life, but the state is not there. Or the stand of one individual, or the stand of sovereign authority who wanted to uphold his sovereign power is allowing the war to be continued. And the poor victims, all human beings, they are dying without any fault. So these human rights or the constitutional rights or legal rights, whatever may be the right, that is standard of permitted action, which is on the other hand, if it is acknowledged, accepted or allowed, then you have a right. For this, I would like to thank the authorities that everyone of us should know what is human right, what is fundamental right, what is legal right, or the right where we have to act according to our own consciousness that should not interfere the right of other individual, that should not cause agony.
Balancing of the conflicting interests is the possible way of law. As per sociological jurisprudence, law is a balance among the conflicting interests. Later, Ronald Dworkin developed the theory strong rights and weak rights. And there is a conflict between strong right and weak right. So, which is protected as a strong right in the interest of the society should be promoted, sacrificing the weak. So all the rights need not be protected for all the people. So the right which promotes the interest of the society, which promotes the interest of the community, can be protected. Say for example, right to development and right to environment. Sometimes right to development is protected, sometimes right to environment is protected. If right to development is protected, definitely we have to sacrifice right to environment. Right to environment is to be protected, we have to sacrifice right to development. It is in the interest of X versus Y, and hospital cases also there. So all these are the things to be remembered now. So young teaching member joined here, you can express your views, please come.
And we are seeing backsliding of constitutional protections happening, not just in India but everywhere. So in times like this, I think it is our duty also to speak up, especially as people associated with the process of teaching law, imparting legal education. An uncritical appreciation or an uncritical understanding of the discourse is very important. The second point that I want to like to make is that human rights has become a vast subject to speak on, because it's a good thing that we're talking about human rights. Proliferation of human rights has also led to another consequence, which is that both the offender of human rights is also claiming human rights and the victim is also claiming human rights. If we take the example of Israel and Gaza, the human suffering that's imposed on the population of Gaza is unimaginable. It is very difficult for all of us to digest. But in light of that also, Israel is able to do what it is doing because of the defense that it's claiming of its sovereignty, self-defense. But we, as scholars or as people involved in the research of the subject, we need to engage in a critical understanding, or there should be a certain intellectual rigor when we talk about human rights, when we talk about human rights discourse. Claiming everything and anything as human rights is not going to help human rights. For human rights to be strengthened, we need to see we are living in a post-truth world where the importance of truth, Professor Nandri has rightly pointed us towards the concept of misinformation and disinformation, that nobody knows what is true or what is fake or what is untrue. We are living in a post-truth world where emotions have a greater influence than facts. So in such times, we need to have a critical understanding of what human rights mean and where this discourse is leading us.
Among teachers and non-teaching staff particularly, at least one should represent from non-teaching staff to speak on this auspicious and holy occasion of recognizing, protecting and enforcing the law.
full of snakes and frogs. I observed for 2 days. Then I told my wife that one woman is sleeping like that. She immediately taken 2 old sarees and a bed sheet and some food to take me to that. We both went there and given that woman. She is depressed, not mad. She is a depressed condition. She is washing her body with the dirty water. Then I immediately went to the nearest commissioner of police and traffic police constables. I introduced myself and showed my ID card. I requested them to see that the woman should be shifted to the safety place that is homes. For homes, they immediately complained. Now, I thank you, sir, Hon'ble Vice-Chancellor, sir, for giving this beautiful opportunity to all. Thank you.
To be human is the biggest challenge in the protection of human rights. So anybody of you, please come and so I am very happy that we are celebrating Human Rights Day. So we are celebrating it throughout the world. So let us hope that human rights will be protected and state will, of course, in the background of minimal state and market economy, and now state becomes monstrous. It is interfering in every aspect of the human life. That's why right to privacy is recognized as an important right. So we get the is very, very important in the promotion of human rights. Now I request the registrar, Mr.
Thank you, Honorable President here, faculty members, non-teaching staff, and all those who express his views on Human Rights Day. Thank you, Honorable, for your presence. Thank you.